Hey everybody, this is Dr. Dennis Buckley of the California Chiropractic Association, inviting you to meet us in paradise at the beautiful Paradise Point Resort and Spa in San Diego, California, June 2nd through the 5th at the 2016 CCA Convention and Marketplace. At the 2016 CCA Convention and Marketplace, we have something for everyone. Great CE education for the doctors and students, products, services, and equipment deals for the office, classes and inspiration for the chiropractic assistants, and a beautiful resort for the whole family to enjoy, featuring our famous Friday night bonfire and the superb Saturday night pool party. So bring the whole staff and family and meet us in paradise. One of the highlights of the convention and marketplace is the high quality of speakers and presenters we have. I would like to introduce to you one of our featured speakers, Dr. Adam Del Toro, who will be presenting at the convention. Adam, welcome to the CCA preview show here, and we're very excited to have you presenting down in San Diego. So what will you be presenting on at your session?
Well, I'll be talking about a very unique cranial adjusting technique called cranial facial release, which is a balloon-assisted cranial adjusting procedure that directly adjusts the cranium like no other type of conventional cranial adjusting does.
Now, this is pretty new and pretty revolutionary, isn't it?
Actually, Doc, it's been around for quite some time. It dates back to the early 1900s. It evolved from an earlier form of endonasal cranial adjusting called bilateral nasal specific or nasal specific, which was pioneered by a chiropractor named Dr. Richard Stober back in the early 1960s and 70s. And he was just performing miracle techniques with all kinds of last resort patients that didn't respond to more conventional forms of treatment.
How did you learn of this technique?
You know, that's a funny story, actually. You remember back in the old Parker seminars, like when they used to have like 6 or 7 seminars being taught at the same time, and this was back in 1984 when I first graduated from chiropractic school, which of course I knew everything back then, and I heard they were teaching cranial adjusting, you know, upstairs. So I thought it was the normal conventional cranial adjusting that I had dabbled in college, and I went upstairs and they were talking about putting balloons in people's noses and inflating them, and I thought they were insane. I mean, it was just too bizarre of a concept for me to grasp, and I literally got up and left the seminar. I mean, I exited the seminar right in the middle of the guy's lecture, which happened to be Dr. Stober, and I mean, he stopped his lecture mid-sentence so everybody could see the guy walking out, but it was just a concept I couldn't grasp at the time. So that's when I first learned about it.
Then how did you come to see the light?
You know what happened? That's another unique story. Is about 15 years later, one of my buddies, Dr. Charles Music, who's a strict gondroid, sent me a fax. I mean, this was back in the day before email, and he sends me a fax about an article about this lady who had fallen off a horse, and she developed post-concussion syndrome with all the typical symptoms of post-concussion syndrome, like the brain fog and the anxiety and depression, and she had tried every treatment in the world, and nothing had helped, and she pretty much had given up hope of ever being normal again. And then she went up and saw this endonasal doctor who ballooned her, and it gave her life back. So the funny thing is I had a patient that had a similar condition. She had gotten in a car accident, went through the windshield of a car, and so I showed her that article. And she looked at me, she goes, I'm going, and I'm going up there. So she went up and saw this doctor, got ballooned, and she came back just on fire. I mean, I've never seen a transition from being, just kind of in a daze and almost like a zombie-like personality to just it lit her up. She became just excited about life again. She could articulate again. It gave her life back. So that was just a miracle before my eyes, and I decided to give it a second look, and I went
So,
back and
go ahead.
I went, I came back from that seminar, and it changed my entire practice.
Was the same guy teaching it?
I don't really know whatever happened to him. He was a naturopath, so the thing about him is, and I very much appreciate him introducing me into balloons and teaching me how to perform the balloon technique, but he was very anti-chiropractic. He wasn't very pro-chiropractic, and this technique belongs in a chiropractic protocol. It was taught to him by a chiropractor, and it needs to be married with chiropractic techniques. So that's what we've done. We've taken it and we've incorporated SOT protocols and conventional diversified chiropractic adjusting, along with conventional post-inflation manual cranial adjusting techniques, and into what is now known as cranial facial release. So it's a whole regime. It's not just ballooning. I mean, we've got a whole technique that goes from A to Z.
And I know you've been teaching this over the last 2 years?
It's fairly new. It's only been about 3 years. It's funny because CFR first gained notoriety about 5 years ago when the E channel came, and one of my patients was the executive producer of the E channel, and she's like, "Yeah, you do that like weird balloon thing, don't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Yeah, we want to do a TV show on it." So I was like, okay, cool. And I thought it was just going to air in and around Los Angeles, just be like a local program. But it aired globally. I mean, it went all over the world. And next thing I knew, I was getting calls from places like Australia and South Africa, from patients wanting to know where they could get the procedure done, and doctors wanting to know where they could learn the technique. And so I just decided that, maybe I should start, teaching this technique and put it together in a organized, presentable fashion, which I thought would take me just a couple months. But Doc, it was like a 5-year, painstaking labor of love to where I finally got it together in an organized fashion. So approximately, I'd say 2.5, 3 years ago, I started teaching it.
Well, how are you preventing people from walking out of your class, thinking this is absolute craziness?
Well, first of all, it's one of those things that I really don't have a lot of doctors interested in at this time. I want to. It might sound a little, selfish, but I don't want every doctor on the planet doing this technique. I want it to remain as a specialized technique. So, the seminars are a little more expensive than the average seminar, and doctors that sign up for it are hungry for this technique. They know it's a specialized procedure. They know it's not just run-of-the-mill chiropractic, and and they're hungry for it. They've heard about it enough now. Actually, that E-channel program generated a lot of interest, and everywhere I go, people tell me that they saw that aired. And since then, they've been very interested in it. So that helped to elevate the awareness of it. And people that sign up for my seminar are, they're excited about this technique. They know it's a unique specialty, and they're wanting it. They're hungry for it.
So if someone attends your presentation at the convention, what will they be able to take back to their practice on Monday?
Well, the thing I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce them to a whole new level of adjusting the nervous system. It's amazing because chiropractic is every one of us has witnessed miracle results in our office. But the amazing thing is that chiropractors get 80% of their patients well by only adjusting 20% of the nervous system. Can you imagine what happens when you tap into that other 80%? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the awareness of doctors of how powerful chiropractic can be, especially when you start adjusting above the neck. And hopefully I generate some interest in this technique. I do want to increase the number of doctors that are doing it. At this point, we only have probably about 50 certified CFR practitioners spanning the globe from Thailand to Texas and, from Malaysia to California. We just recently attended Cairo, Europe, and we taught a seminar in the Netherlands, so it was our first CFR European seminar. So we had 6 doctors attend, and so it's starting to gain notoriety, and I'm hoping that the doctors at the convention, just like me, I had never really heard of it before. I want to introduce them to something new with the idea that there's just the potential of innate and unlocking, the intelligence of the body at its source, which is the brain, from above down, inside out.
Well, Dr. Del Toro, we look forward to seeing and hearing from you down in San Diego, and, this sounds very, very exciting. So can't wait to hear it.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity, and, I'm excited about it.
There you go, everyone. Meet us in paradise and see Dr. Del Toro. Go to the CCA website, www.calchiro.org, to register and view the lineup of the other great presenters, or call 916-648-2727 to register yourself and your staff. And don't forget to bring the whole family and experience paradise with the CCA.